All right, here we go. Back for part two. Currently through eight picks. I guess 8.5 if you count the Titans and Falcons we just went through. Um, Let me bring the mock back up here. Okay. So I'm thinking, we won't go pick by pick. We'll highlight a couple. Um, ones that we find interesting, some players, some teams. And then we'll touch on the Giants, and I think we'll close it out with some bold predictions for the draft, and I guess for some of these players' careers. Paul, I don't know if you want to kick it off. Maybe we could talk about the Giants. What do you think they're targeting here at 25?
I honestly have no idea. I personally want a wide receiver. You gave Daniel Jones that huge contract, and a lot of people have debated whether it should have been given or not. So I think you just give him all the weapons he needs to ball out. But I see you have a corner here. I've seen that in a lot of mocks. There's a lot of corners around in this range that I can see going. Like I've seen Banks go, Forbes. I've seen Porter now. I personally have us taking Addison because I really like Addison. But I think corner wide receiver is what we're gonna do. I don't see any other position. I don't think we go guard or we won't go tackle obviously, but I've seen someone have us take a tight end. I would
Yeah, I
be
saw
very
that.
upset if that
Peter King
happens.
said Michael Mayer.
Yeah, I would be very very upset if we take a tight end after the Waller and Bellinger. So that
Yeah, I mean, my problem with the Giants is that I mean Quinn Johnson would be available in this situation, but like otherwise you're just taking another small receiver. And it's like, I don't know. I think, maybe if you're gonna use Waller as a receiver, maybe you can say, we got some size out there. Uh, but you know, just taking Addison, adding another small receiver, like, worry you a bit.
I mean Addison's like 5'11", so he's not that small. But I
Yeah,
think
I
he
mean,
plays off.
yeah,
You're talking about
170
weight
pounds.
wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty thin. Yeah, that is worrisome.
Yeah, it's part of the reason. I mean, in retrospect, not to talk about the Falcons, but like last year, I mean, you're between Garrett Wilson, Olave, and London. Not that they weren't going to take Olave, but like Jameson, Garrett, and London. I mean, there's not a lot of receivers that are coming out Drake London size, um, which makes the pick look better in retrospect. But like in a situation like this, it makes me think Quentin Johnson's going to go a little bit higher because it's basically like if you get past, I think JSN will go first. Um, like if you get past JSN, you're staring at about six receivers who are under 180 pounds, and then you're looking at a 6'2", 210 who runs a 4.35. So I don't have Quentin Johnson in the first tier, but I think one of these teams are just going to say, why would we take one of the eight small guys when there's only one good big receiver a year? Um, I don't know. Cal, what do you think of that Daniel Jones contract? By the way, I don't think we've done a free agency pod.
Yeah, no, we haven't. I mean, it's maybe a little bit more than I was expecting. I think when those rumors started to come out that he was expecting like 40 million a year, I like could not believe it. But I guess it's more so just a testament to where the league is headed. Obviously, you're going to spend big on your quarterback, and he certainly deserved it. And I think that just given another year with Daboll, things are only going to get better. They are clearly trying to give him some weapons. I do think Waller will fit in well again, as you said it, as long as they use him primarily as a receiver and he stays injury free, then I think it makes sense. But jury's still out. I need to see a full year with an entire offseason of confident Daniel Jones. We haven't seen confident Daniel Jones basically forever, so this will be good to see.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess they were kind of back against the wall. They kind of had to pay him, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what their other
What's the
choice was.
alternative? Yeah, exactly.
And the hope is year two, and if they add a big time receiver, they'll they'll see even a bigger jump, right? Yeah. But I mean, in a situation like this, I don't know if Jordan Addison's good enough for what they need. Maybe he is. I mean, it's weird to think about, but Ridley and DJ Moore were picked, right in this range a couple of years ago. Um, so it's possible. But it's just weird after the past couple of years of receivers going so high in the top 12. We're looking at, maybe JSN at 13, and then after that we might get, 3 or 4 in the 20s or or 30s, 40s. So
Yeah, I'm
it-
just like
it'd be
automatically
interesting.
accustomed to believe that every first round receiver is just going to be insane. That just kind of seems to be the way things have gone the past few years. So now I look at all these guys, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe not. I do agree. JSN is the guy, and then it seems like there's a crazy drop off. Which, by the way, is hysterical that you have them mocked or have him mocked to Green Bay because they're 1,000% going to take him. And
Yeah,
the
right.
Aaron Rodgers goes, right?
So it seems the rumor is he's gonna go around here, whether someone trades up or whether, Green Bay takes him. But it would be funny the year Rodgers leave. My only concern would be I think you'd fit great next to Christian Watson, but apparently Green Bay has really strict athleticism requirements for a draft pick. And JSN, it's weird. So he's like one of the most agile receivers ever at the combine. But in terms of weight speed, he's mediocre might be a compliment. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that's a good one to talk about. Paul, I don't know if any of these stick out to you, but we didn't talk about Richardson at 23. But
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. He's definitely gonna go higher than 23.
I just don't know who takes him though.
And that's fair. You never know, right? So
You gotta. I mean, if you could find a team for me, like I would move him. I just don't see in this situation, maybe Houston takes him at 12 if they already have Will Anderson. But like going through the list,
Washington.
That's what I was going to say.
it's possible. It's weird because at this point you get to this part of the draft too. Like none of these teams have smoke with quarterbacks other than Minnesota. So you're really taking a leap. Like, oh man, like it's pretty late in the process for I feel like these teams to be switching. Like, oh, what happens if Anthony Richardson's suddenly there? Right? It's tough. But yeah, Washington makes sense. I mean, Tampa, maybe too. Unless they want to leave the door open for Tom Brady, right? In case he decides in August he wants to play again. But it's tough. I mean, do you think Richardson should go higher? Paul?
For higher than 23? Or
like if you were a GM, would you feel comfortable top 5, top 10?
Dude, that's really bold. What about Seattle at 20? I mean, you thought
I would like that. Yeah, okay. I think that makes sense.
I was gonna say Detroit at 18 because they have 2 firsts, but Goff was really good last year.
Yeah, I mean that's what's tough. I feel like, I kind of said the opposite about Houston. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the second first round pick taking a quarterback there is just such like a mind twister because it's like no, if they liked him, they would have taken him already. But then I'm saying the opposite for Houston, saying it won't happen. But I think it's just because like, yeah, I guess Seattle and Detroit make sense.
Also, you never know what team in the second round is going to trade up.
Yeah, right. If they see him this far,
Lamar,
what about the team one above Minnesota, Baltimore?
Yeah,
they've had him in for visits.
Really interesting.
I mean.
I would love to see that. That would be really a lot of drama. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, imagine a situation where the Colts don't take a quarterback, and then Baltimore takes Anthony Richardson. I don't know. I think at this point, Lamar's almost certainly going to stay.
You see these contracts being given out. None of them are getting guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I don't think Burrow's going to get it. I don't think Herbert's going to get it. And then I don't think any team's going to be desperate enough to do it, unless the Colts don't take a quarterback. So we'll probably have our answer this time tomorrow, whether or not Lamar is going to be moved. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Richardson myself. I think I guess it makes sense why people like him, but I don't like that people say he's not far away. That I don't want to hear that. I want you to tell me this guy is so far away, but he's the best athlete in the world that I can make a quarterback. You're telling me this guy's not far away. He's awful right now. He better be far away. That's what doesn't make sense to me. All these people say he's far away. Not far away is a compliment. Like, if he's not that far away, I would want someone a lot better. I just don't get it with Richardson. I think he would make sense. Detroit would be a good one. I think they're good enough offensively to maybe work him in. Atlanta, I think, would make sense. But it seems like Minnesota's really interesting because they can sit him behind Kirk. Same thing with Tennessee. I think that would make sense sitting him. But I mean, a lot of people talk smack about Levis. I mean, if Will Levis was on Florida, if you put Anthony Richardson on Kentucky, it's probably the same results. I just don't see it with Richardson, but otherwise, I mean, looking through here, I would say one of the guys I was watching for the Falcons, man, I love Miles Murphy. So this guy, so Clemson has a bad track record in the draft, right? In terms of producing defensive players. But this guy, I mean, part of the problem, a lot of compared to Nolan Smith, so Nolan Smith's like 230 pounds. I think Miles Murphy is quicker on the field than Nolan Smith, and he's 200 and he's 40 pounds heavier. He's so quick. He plays with power. He doesn't really have a lot of moves right now. But I think out of all these defensive ends, he's the best athlete. I think he plays a lot more athletically than Nolan. So, he's one guy where I think he's mocked pretty low consistently. I think he's going around this 20 range. But I think there's been some buzz that he is, if anyone, he's going to be the mystery top 10 pick. If someone does like a Cleveland Farrell going number 4 overall, they're saying it might be Miles Murphy. But
Interesting.
Yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't know if anything sticks out to you guys. Tight ends, I got 2 going here, but
Yeah, I have two going in the first one also. What do you think the Jets do?
I mean, it seems like they're dedicated. They need an offensive lineman, but I mean, I think where I have them, I already have 4 offensive linemen off the board, or 3 offensive linemen. I'd have Paris, Darnell, and Skoronski gone. So I mean, maybe they'll take their 4th offensive lineman at pick 15.
Do you think they give Rodgers another weapon?
I don't know. I think with Rodgers' track record of hating rookie receivers, I think it'd be hard. I think it might be hard on Garrett Wilson. Never mind if you put another rookie in there.
You're not. Yeah, I have them taking a tackle also. I don't see them taking a wide receiver. They have Wilson. They just signed Lazard.
Some JSN buzz has been coming out with them.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know. I just don't see Rodgers dealing with a sophomore receiver and a rookie receiver in his last year of his career. I just don't know how that ends well. That like screams to me like Alan Lazard, 100 targets, Randall Cobb plays 60% of snaps. Like, I don't know. I don't see it.
I could see the Packers taking a tight end.
Yeah, I saw that too. I guess the thought is like, if you just need a pass catcher, you might as well take one if you have him higher.
Let's see.
But yeah, it's interesting. I would say, I mean, getting to some bold predictions. I would say for me, top 2 players in this draft 5 years from now. I think I'll go top 3. I'm going Stroud, Christian Gonzalez, Will Anderson are my top 3 guys 5 years from now. And then in terms of, I guess, expanding to the quarterbacks, I think Bryce will be, maybe we're viewing him like Kyler 5 years from now. Or, it's maybe the Panthers are picking 2 in the 2028 draft. And we're like, oh, a year from now, they'll get off Bryce Young and then they'll pick another one. So I think Bryce will be around. Levis and Richardson, I don't see working out. But what do you think, Paul? Any bold predictions?
Bold predictions. Top 3 players for the future. I definitely Will Anderson. I think he's going to be like Vaughn-esque. Like, I'm really that high on him. I think Christian Gonzalez will also be up there. I'm a fan of him. And Oregon's done well recently.
Yeah.
Who else? And whoever the Giants pick is my 3rd one.
Yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you don't have him. I think Peter Frager have 2 running backs in the first round.
Yeah, I think Gibbs is like minus 250 to go in the first round. It's just
Wow.
It's hard to find a team. Like, it's easy to say everyone loves a running back. But like, it's the same thing with quarterbacks. Like,
Oh, you have Dallas. Dallas will probably take one.
yeah, I don't know. I
Oh.
think they would take Mayer if he's here. Or Kincaid, they're linked to a lot too.
I think
I just
Maris before that.
I don't know. I mean, it's tough. Like, I think the theme is gonna be the quarterbacks fall.
Yep.
The tight ends fall. Um, and then I think it's going to be a lot of like safe players going towards the middle. Like right here, I got back-to-back guards going 18, 19, right? By pick 19, I have 6 offensive linemen off the board, which,
No, yeah.
it's hard to just find a team. Like I think Cincy can make sense for Gibbs. But
Yeah, I've seen them trying to get rid of Mixon or something like that. They're having contract issues.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
So
think
tough.
some other bold predictions. I think Eckler gets traded tomorrow night and Trey Lance.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Trey Lance. Yeah,
I was
I mean
gonna mention him.
Trey Lance is going to be the main story of. There's a chance tomorrow. I mean, the problem is Lance isn't good enough to get a first, so he might not affect tomorrow. It's just,
I think second round.
yeah, I think in a situation like this where Houston goes Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, I think Lance is probably on the Texans by Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, D'Amico and their offensive coordinator from San Fran. And then I think Tennessee, I think their GM is from San Fran. Is that the connection?
Van Cantor. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, it seems like it's going to be one of those two guys. So maybe, I mean, that's a situation too where it's like Tennessee might be sitting here and it's like, we'll just take Trey Lance, right? Like, we're not going to trade up for a quarterback. Let's just call everyone's bluff because I don't think anyone's going to take a quarterback. It's going to be like Fields and Mac Jones, right? I mean, they just kept falling. No one traded up. Everyone just kept taking other players over them. It's not unheard of for the third and fourth quarterbacks to be outside the top 10, right? And I think when you listen to people in the media, like that's how they really frame it. These teams aren't viewing it like, CJ Stroud and Will Levis are pretty close. Like whatever one we get, we'll take. They will just straight up, some teams will have rules like we're not going to take the fourth quarterback in the draft at pick 10. We're not going to take the third quarterback in the draft, the third best quarterback in this draft at pick 8. So he might fall. I think there's zero chance Lance plays another snap for the Niners though.
Oh, he's done. Yeah, definitely.
Is he a bust in retrospect, or just unfortunate?
Depends on the second team, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I never got the Lance thing. I just thought he was an overrated athlete. I think when people talked about him, they talked about him like Anthony Richardson.
I was just gonna say, how do you think he compares to the prospect to Anthony Richardson? 'Cause I don't know. I was gonna to answer your first question, Dave, to classify whether or not he's a bust. Obviously, I think to Paul's point, he needs a second team, but there really weren't any signs before he got hurt that I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Now we understand why they traded all that they did to get him. And again, it was still early, and I'd like to believe Shanahan can make anyone look good, but I don't know. He was never jumping off the screen, right? And they played in some weird games. That first week, that Chicago game was just hysterical, which is quite a bummer. I remember we were so hyped to watch that game to see him and Fields square
Lance.
off, and then it just was, a slip and slide out there. But yeah, I guess the jury's still out. But I think given the price to acquire him, it's gonna take a lot for him not to be considered a bust.
Yeah, I think it's they could have had Micah Parsons and then 2 other first round picks, right? I mean, add that to the Niners, it's crazy. I think, you put Anthony Richardson on North Dakota State, like he might be the first pick in this draft. So who the hell knows? But with Trey Lance, I never got it. There better be a 30 for 30 about that draft because they wanted Mac Jones. I think you put Mac Jones in this offense, and that's another guy. I don't know if you guys seen that rumor. New England trading up to number 2 for Mac Jones.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
I mean, Nick Caserio makes sense. I don't know. Apparently New England loves Levis. I think there's bad blood with Mac Jones and that coaching staff for whatever reason. And I think that could be the theme of tomorrow too. I think a lot of these teams, even though we say quarterback's the most important position, a lot of these teams will not draft one until it's their last resort. So I think you're going to be looking at Houston, you're going to be looking at Tennessee. And they're just going to say we'll get Trey Lance or we'll get someone else's reclamation project, right? But we're not going to take one until we're absolutely certain. But yeah, I don't think Mac gets traded, but I mean, it makes sense theoretically. So
So I have a question. Do you guys think we'll see like a crazy trade like the Marquise Brown? Like no one suspected that,
Hmm.
or no one suspected the AJ Brown trade last year. Do you think that'll happen again?
It's tough. I don't know who's out there right now who commands that much value. I mean, T. Higgins, the 25th pick.
Oh yeah, that was my dream before the Waller trade.
It might. I mean, T's the only one that comes to mind. I think he's untouchable right now. I mean, this is probably Cincinnati's last chance to ever win a Super Bowl this year. So they would be crazy to trade him.
I mean, yeah, I'm high on Higgins also, but they're spending what 50. What was his contract? 51. So Burrow's gonna get 52. Chase is
Jamar
gonna
is
get
probably
the
gonna get 30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I
that's
mean,
an 80 right there.
Yeah. I don't think that team's like gonna be able to.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like I think Higgins is gonna be traded. I don't know where though.
Yeah, Higgins makes sense. I wonder. The problems last year, like you think of the Traylon Burks trade, like they knew they could kind of get a replacement here. Where if like Cincinnati trades T. Higgins, I don't know who they want. I mean, maybe Quentin Johnson, right? T. Higgins
Yeah.
for Quentin Johnson and like a third, or Quentin Johnson and a fourth. That might make sense. But I mean, you're risking maybe one of your last years of being the top teams in the AFC.
I think they'll always have a shot with Burrow at least.
What'd you say?
I think they'll always have a shot with Burrow.
Oh, I
Just always
come
competing with
on,
Super Bowl.
dude.
Don't
That team's
poke the
gonna be
bear.
awful. Like,
No way.
I mean, Burrow's got maybe 5 years left of having a capable NFL arm, and then he's gonna be surrounded by. It's soon gonna be one of the worst rosters in the NFL once they put Jamar and Burrow on the books.
You could say that, but yeah, I guess. I mean, look
It's
at
going to be
Bills
like
right
the
now.
Falcons in like 2014, 2015. Like it's just, or even 2019, 2020. Like team's just not going to be good enough to sustain them. And like, I don't think Burrow's good enough to be a one-man show, or Zach Taylor. Like if they had a good coach, I'd be fine saying that. But I mean, wheels are going to fall off Zach Taylor at some point. It's tough. I mean, maybe. So you'd have to find an NFC. You'd have to find an NFC team, but I like the Chargers getting a receiver tomorrow somehow. Maybe like D Hop.
I was gonna say D Hop. What do you think the price is on D Hop?
I don't know. He's so old.
I know.
I saw on Reddit that it's like the Bills will trade like the 27th pick, and they'll get D Hop and the 34th pick.
That makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, apparently he and Vaughn are talking nonstop about about coming to Buffalo, but yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
I would hate that move for the Cardinals though.
Yeah, I mean they just don't have a choice at this point. But yeah, if you're the Cardinals, I'd want because they're not even getting an additional pick there. They're just
I was gonna say you need 2 picks.
Like even if you're, a situation like let's say they move up 7 spots and then they get like a third back or something. But
that's at least better.
I don't know. It's tough to find a spot for Diop just because it's gonna be like I mean if Jalen Ramsey goes for a third, I'd much rather have Ramsey than Diop.
Yeah.
And I don't know what D-Hop's contract, the time length is, but he's getting paid a lot. So.
Yeah, the Bills are kind of in, I don't want to say cap hell, but they're not exactly, as free as can be. So they'd have to move a bit around to make that even work. So I don't know. Yeah, he was the name that came to mind when you asked Paul who could move tomorrow. And speaking of the theme of wide receivers, it could be him. But yeah, I agree, Dave. The market's just not nearly there as it was for those other 2 guys.
Oh, I just thought of a good one. Mike Evans to the Chargers.
Oh.
I mean, that makes sense. That's what they need. I don't know.
I mean, Mike Williams is like that big receiver they have though.
Yeah, really Mike Williams runs like a 4.6 though. And Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans getting old, but a little bit faster.
I think the Bucs are tanking for Caleb Williams or Drake May. So I could see
I think so too. I mean, the rumor I think the Bucks are waiting until August to make sure Brady's retired. But the rumor before free agency was one of Evans or Godwin will not be on the team next year. So, I mean, if that's the case, tomorrow would make sense for one of the Bucks to move, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Evans or Godwin might get. Godwin's getting paid a lot. Might be
I
a
was gonna
Friday.
say, who
be a-
demands the higher price? Either Godwin or Evans. Who do you think would go for more? Or
I
it'd
think
be about
Evans
the
has a
same?
better contract. It might be him.
Mm.
Even though Godwin's only like 25, 26, I think. But
Yeah, Godwin was the 2017 draft. I think it was 2014.
yeah,
I think there's at least a 3-year gap age-wise.
yeah. But Evans, you might be getting like 2 years of a pretty good deal, whereas Godwin has like 4 years left
Yeah.
on a pretty large one.
I think
Yeah, no
Godwin's
super
contract
injuries.
is 3 years, 60.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm kind of locking that in now. I like that a lot. I think one of the Bucks receivers off the team by
Oh
Friday.
yeah, that's I think.
I like that. We should get back on that.
I'm trying to think who else has some people that could be moved. I mean, Carolina. Oh, what do you think of the trade, by the way? Carolina and Chicago. I thought that was a big overpay, but
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
especially for Young. I mean, but Glazer's coming out now and says no team has Bryce Young in a tier with anyone else. So, I guess in the eyes of the league, that's what Bryce Young costed. But I'm trying to think. A lot of people mock Seattle or receiver. I don't really see that. But, I mean, it'd be interesting. The problem is I don't see McDaniels tanking, but I think what about this tomorrow? If at 7, Vegas takes CJ Stroud and then ships off Devontae Adams somewhere.
Oh, that's interesting.
That would make sense. I mean, Tennessee has no one. Chicago has no one. Philly, no. Mac Jones could get traded. The Jets don't have anyone. Chase Young, what about him, Paul?
Yeah, he's not getting his option picked up. I think he's gonna get traded.
He could get traded for sure.
That's a fun one.
I don't think he'll get a first rounder. He'll probably get a second, maybe.
Yeah, what a fall from grace.
When is the last time he actually played a game?
I don't think he ended up playing last year, right?
No,
He did. And
I don't think so. I thought
I
I remember him
remember,
just being
like-
on the sideline the entire year.
Yeah, because I remember like the Falcons played them like week 12, and I remember week 8 is when he got activated, and he still didn't play by week 12. And I think they had their bye like week 13, and he didn't play after that. Maybe he played like the last 2 games, but probably not, because they're probably eliminated by that point. Could be Young, Deontay Johnson maybe, and then Pittsburgh takes a receiver here.
Mhm.
Detroit doesn't really have anyone. We said Tampa. Yeah, Lamar, I don't think's going anywhere. Yeah, I don't know.
I think the most exciting thing is seeing where the quarterbacks fall, specifically Anthony Richardson.
what about Ayuk?
Oh,
Yeah, Ayuk's the big rumor.
Oh.
You're right. Yeah, apparently John Lynch like went on some 5-minute rant about whether Ayuk will be on the team or not. But I mean, Ayuk, honestly, like he's pretty close to T. Higgins.
No,
And
yeah.
you could probably pay him a little bit less than Higgins too, which probably makes him pretty even. Like T. Higgins at like 22 versus Ayuk at 16. Or, if it's a $6 million difference, I think I'd rather have Ayuk. Oh man. Speaking of which, what's been triggering me? The fact that the Slayton signed with the Giants, despite getting a better offer from the Bucks. They would have been so good. He would have fit perfectly, just running crossers over the middle of the game. Yeah, I don't know. And then in terms of teams not in the first round, I think the rumor is Miami wants to get back in for Jahmyr Gibbs. Cleveland, I don't think would trade Amari, but Brandon Cooks he got moved, right? Brandon Cooks.
He's on Dallas. He's on Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see. Only other one that comes to mind is Amari, but it's pretty lazy. Michael Thomas.
God.
I think he's on like a 1-year deal, so I think
Wouldn't be for a first, but it makes sense for someone. Otherwise, though, yeah, I don't think anyone significant's getting moved. But it'll be interesting. I guess ending with this, we got the big four quarterbacks. How you ranking them? Official stance. You're the GM in the war room right now. Paul, you're up first.
Yeah, I would go with Young, tier one. Um, I think I go Stroud and Levis, tier two, and then
Wow.
Richardson, tier three.
Okay. Cal.
Hmm. I will say Stroud. mm, I just feel, Dave, I don't know. I feel like we're on an island with this Bryce Young thing, and it's going to take a while for us to maybe one day reap our benefits. But to not displease too much of the fans out there, I'll put Stroud and Young in the same tier. Then I think it's severe drop off, Levis, and then not as severe of a drop off to Richardson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I'm going Stroud to Arizona. And I think Stroud's on the I think a lot of people are looking at this like the Goff Wentz draft in terms of quarterback talent. I think Stroud, not a Joe Burrow, but I think he should be a 101 in most drafts. So I'm gonna go Stroud by himself. I mean, my comp for Stroud is Herbert. I think Herbert with like 90% of the arm talent. I think the way he moves, the way people say he's not athletic, but he's actually one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league. And then in terms of, you don't want another I don't know what quarterback you're taking in the pocket over Justin Herbert, right? A lot of reasons he's not better than Mahomes, but I think in terms of just pure sit, take a 3-step drop and throw from the pocket, you're probably not taking many people over Herbert. So Stroud reminds me of Herbert. He's my one by far. Then I take a big drop. I'll put Young too, just because, I mean, I think all the analytics guys love Young, but in terms of me, I see nothing that makes him even an average quarterback other than his pockets presence. I think if you're doing a star chart, otherwise he's, going to be a bottom 5 quarterback in the league in terms of, height, weight, athleticism, arm strength. Then, yeah, I think I'd put Levis and Richardson probably in the same tier there. Maybe I'd put Richardson ahead just because he's, 20 years old versus Levis is 24. But, I think they're more so guys you should probably be taking in the teens for Richardson and then 20s for Levis. Young, I can see, if you're in the top 10 and you need him, I think it makes sense, but not going to be an all-timer. I don't think it works out, but otherwise, I think that'll be it. I think one of the best days of the year tomorrow. We'll see how it goes down.
Of the year.
Yeah, nothing beats it. I mean, there's this ESPN dropped this commercial, and it got me choked up. Like it was pretty emotional. I'll send it to you guys after, but it was like the stupidest commercial ever. But it's like, man, this is the day of hope and dreams. So, someone drafted tomorrow is going to be the reason their team wins the Super Bowl. So
this guy getting poetic. And to
We'll
add to that point, Dave, piggyback on it. Emma's slowly becoming a football fan for the audience who don't know, it's my girlfriend, but Dave, she's a romantic as well. She cries every time someone gets picked. She just, she's overwhelmed. She can't believe it. She's like, wow, I'm so happy for their family. So no, I'm only half serious. But the first time she ever watched the draft and Trevor Lawrence went, she, I guess, was remotely familiar with Trevor Lawrence for God knows what reason. And she started crying because she was just very happy for him and his family. So, well, you guys can shed a tear together tomorrow when Bryce Young goes one overall.
Yeah.
For different reasons. You'll cry because it's a mistake, and she'll cry because
the Falcons, they've been torturing me lately with Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson tomorrow. So we'll see. I mean, it's funny because I think a lot of people view this as like tomorrow starts the season, right? It's the 2023 draft, but I think in a lot of ways this is like the season finale, right? This is a TV show. You'd kind of end it with the cliffhanger of the Panthers get Bryce Young. Like, let's go play ball in 6 months. So
I like it.
All right. With that being said, everyone enjoy the draft tomorrow. Gonna be a fun time. See ya.